Imagine this scenario, right? You walk into a brightly lit, super aesthetic new bakery.
Yeah, one of those places made for Instagram.
Exactly. And you pay $17 for a single scoop of signature ice cream, taking it out to your car as a little afternoon treat.
Right.
But when you look down, nestled right there in the supposedly premium dessert is a human hair.
Ugh, the absolute worst.
It is. So you post a really mild 30-second video online basically saying like, hey, probably not worth 17 bucks.
Which is completely fair.
Right. But then within 24 hours, the owner of that bakery has launched this highly coordinated public smear campaign against you.
Wait, a smear campaign? Over a hair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Labeling you a criminal, an extortionist, and a scammer, and they force you to literally publish your time-stamped credit card receipts on the internet just to prove you actually paid for your food.
That is just, it's wild.
Welcome to the modern culinary war zone.
And it's a completely surreal escalation, honestly. Because, the neighborhood bakery used to be the cornerstone of just simple, low-stakes hospitality.
Oh, totally.
Now it operates like a geopolitical flashpoint. Like the sheer animosity between consumers and business owners right now is reaching a fever pitch.
It really is.
And the basic mechanisms of trust have just completely broken down.
Well, we're so incredibly glad you're here with us today because we are venturing into some truly wild, uncharted territory.
Yes, we definitely are.
Today, we have compiled a massive stack of sources to make sense of all this chaos. We're pulling from academic-level digital PR case studies, viral TikToks from furious content creators, and massive Reddit threads dissecting the psychological breaking point of tipping culture.
Don't forget the local news reports.
Right. The local news dirty dining reports and a deep dive into this incredibly explosive YouTube debate series featuring a really polarizing pastry chef.
With a lot of ground to cover.
It is. So our mission for you today is to explore this incredibly volatile intersection of luxury food branding, modern influencer culture, and the ultimate equalizer in consumer disputes, digital receipts.
What is genuinely fascinating here, I think, is the total inversion of power dynamics.
How so?
Well, for a century, the institution, the restaurant, the bakery, the executive chef, they basically held the monopoly on truth.
Yeah, that's true.
If a customer had a bad experience, their recourse was practically zero. They could complain to a manager, maybe tell 5 of their friends, but the institution's reputation remained largely untouchable.
Right. The business always won.
Exactly. But today, a single miscommunication, a misplaced ego, or a missing ingredient can be broadcast to 50 million people overnight.
It's terrifying for them, honestly.
It is, and the way these business owners are reacting to that immense, paralyzing pressure is completely reshaping the social contract of dining out.
Okay, let's unpack this. To understand why things are so incredibly tense right now between the person handing over the pastry box and the person paying for it, we have to look at the catalyst.
The ground zero.
Right. There is a specific incident that essentially armed every defensive bakery owner in America with a loaded PR weapon.
And to find that, we have to start in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes, with a highly acclaimed French bakery called JL Patisserie.
This right here is a foundational case study in digital crisis management. And to understand the magnitude of the conflict, we first have to understand the pedigree of the business.
Right, because this isn't just some casual pop-up.
Not at all. The owner, Jenna Lurquin, is a James Beard-nominated chef. Her background includes studying at the prestigious Cordon Bleu in Paris.
Oh, wow. So she really knows what she's doing.
Exactly. But even more critically, the emotional architecture of this business is deeply tied to her late father.
I remember reading about this. It's so sad.
It is. He was the one who pushed her to open it. He physically helped her build out the space, and he passed away in 2020.
Oh, man.
So when we talk about this bakery, we are talking about a chef's life's work, her family legacy, and a highly premium, intensely labored product.
Right. Her identity is basically baked into the walls.
Precisely.
And into this intensely personal space walks a food influencer known online as Glamorama.
Right. Whose real name is Aurora Griffo.
Yep. And this initial interaction completely sets the stage for the modern digital food economy.
Because, according to the reporting from 12 News and the subsequent PR case studies, Glamorama reached out to JL Patisserie, proposing what is known in the industry as a collaboration.
Which, let's be honest about what that word actually means in this context.
Yeah, it's a barter transaction.
Right. The influencer is basically saying, give me free food and maybe some cash, and I will leverage my audience to give you exposure.
Exactly. It's an unregulated advertising pitch.
Yeah.
And Jenna Lurquin looked at this pitch and made a standard operational decision. She respectfully declined.
Which makes sense.
Right. She cited that marketing just wasn't in their budget at the time, which, considering the razor-thin margins of independent hospitality, is incredibly common.
Super common. But the critical failure here was the influencer's inability to accept a boundary.
Right.
Because Glamorama didn't take the no, she showed up at the bakery anyway the very next day.
Just walked right in.
Just walked in.
Yeah.
And this is where I think Jenna Lurquin showed an incredible amount of professional grace.
Oh, absolutely.
Because she actually recognized the influencer from the online exchange. And despite having explicitly rejected the collaboration, Jenna still tries to be a good host.
Yeah, she comped some extra drinks for her.
Right. Trying to smooth things over and just provide good hospitality.
But that grace was ultimately weaponized against her.
Completely.
Because shortly after this visit, Glamorama posts a scathing review on TikTok. But she doesn't just offer a subjective critique.
Right. She doesn't just say, like, oh, the ambiance wasn't my style.
Or the coffee was a bit bitter for my taste.
Yeah.
No. She goes straight for the jugular of the bakery's integrity.
It was brutal.
She explicitly claims the bakery uses super fake pistachio flavor in their signature croissants.
Wow.
She trashes the coffee, she rips apart the quiche, and she essentially accuses a cordon bleu trained chef of selling a fraudulent product.
And, I mean, if you know anything about French pastry, accusing a chef of using fake ingredients is the ultimate declaration of war.
It really is. It's not just a bad Yelp review.
No. It is an existential threat to a luxury brand's entire identity. If people think you're using cheap artificial syrups, you can't charge premium prices, your business dies.
Exactly.
Now, Jenna Lurquin could have taken the traditional PR advice here. You know, the old school playbook that says,
oh, engage, be the bigger person.
right, ignore the haters. But she didn't do that. She fought back and she brought undeniable receipts.
Her response is truly a masterclass.
Yeah.
Because she completely bypassed emotional defensiveness and leaned entirely into empirical evidence.
Yes.
She posted a response video on TikTok that basically functioned as a backstage tour of her supply chain.
The visual is just incredible. She takes the camera right into the prep kitchen.
Wow.
She points it at these massive industrial tubs and says, here is our pistachio paste. And she zooms in on the labels.
And what did it say?
It's 100% pure premium pistachio paste, imported directly from Italy.
Amazing.
Then she walks over to her dry storage. She shows pallets, like literal pallets of flour. She holds up these massive bags of Panettone flour, and the text on the bags is written entirely in Italian.
She is systematically, mathematically dismantling the influencer's claim of fake ingredients.
It was beautiful to watch.
And what makes this so effective is that she anchors the physical ingredients to the intense human labor required to use them.
Right.
She detailed a 5-day sourdough lamination process. She explained that just learning how to feed and maintain the specific sourdough starter for their croissants takes 6 months of training.
6 months.
Yeah, and that starter only reacts properly to this specific high-extraction imported flour.
So much work.
And she noted that she and her partner, Gabriel, had been baking for 3 days straight leading up to this controversy.
Oh, wow.
So when she refutes the claim of a fake product, she is validating hundreds of hours of highly skilled, grueling physical labor.
But then Jenna drops the absolute bombshell.
The turning point.
Yeah, this is the moment the internet collectively gasped. She reveals the actual context behind the negative review. She states publicly that prior to posting the video, this influencer had essentially attempted to strong-arm the bakery.
Yeah, this is where it gets crazy.
Jenna explained that Glamorama basically implied that because she wasn't given the food for free, the resulting review would be significantly more negative than if the bakery had just agreed to the collaboration.
This is the pivot point.
Yeah.
It completely recontextualizes the entire event.
Totally changes it.
It transforms the narrative from a subjective disagreement over taste, right, into an objective story of unethical extortion.
Exactly.
Jenna framed her response not just as a defense of her specific croissants, but as a defense of the entire working-class hospitality sector.
Yeah.
She called out the inherent entitlement, the bullying tactics, and this pervasive toxic idea that service workers exist merely to be stepping stones for an influencer's content metrics.
And the internet just absolutely devoured this narrative. I mean, Jenna's defense video hit nearly 60 million views.
That number is just hard to comprehend.
Let's put that in perspective. 60 million views is Super Bowl commercial level exposure. It's astronomical.
It really is.
It even caught the attention of mega influencers like Keith Lee, who stepped in and publicly supported JL Patisserie.
Right. He explicitly condemned the behavior of micro-influencers who demand free product and then launch retaliatory strikes when a small business says no.
And the fallout for the reviewer was absolute.
Total destruction.
Yeah, the public backlash was so intense and so sustained that Glamorama was forced to scrub her digital footprint, deleting almost her entire TikTok account.
Wow.
Furthermore, in a statement provided to 12 News, she claimed the real-world escalation was so severe that she and her family no longer felt safe in their own home.
That's intense.
And they reportedly relocated out of the state of Arizona entirely.
From a single TikTok complaining about a pistachio croissant to packing up your life and fleeing the state.
I know, right? That is the terrifying velocity of the digital PR battleground.
It is.
But here's where we need to look closer, because yes, JL Patisserie was totally justified.
Absolutely.
Jenna stood up for her team and her father's legacy, and she won. But did her massive 60 million view victory accidentally create a monster?
That's the big question.
Did she inadvertently hand every defensive, ego-driven business owner a loaded PR weapon?
That is the exact psychological mechanism we need to analyze.
Right.
Because what this unprecedented victory created within the local hospitality community, specifically in the Phoenix and Tempe markets, was a massive systemic confirmation bias.
Okay, break that down for me. How does a justified defense turn into confirmation bias?
Well, when local business owners watched JL Patisserie go viral, experience a massive surge in sales, and effectively destroy a hostile critic's platform by labeling them an extortionist.
Yeah.
It wrote a brand new defensive playbook. Historically, a bad review prompted internal reflection like, oh, did the kitchen mess up? Was the server having an off night?
Right, you look inward.
But after JL Patisserie, owners began to view almost any critical digital review as a bad faith attack.
Oh, I see.
The assumption shifted. They started believing that anyone posting a negative video wasn't a real customer with a real grievance, but rather an entitled influencer throwing a tantrum over denied freebies.
So the extortion defense basically became the default reflex.
Precisely.
So instead of saying, wow, we really dropped the ball on table 4, let's comp their meal and fix our expediting process.
Exactly.
The immediate knee-jerk reaction becomes, you're a grifter trying to ruin my livelihood because I didn't give you free cookies.
Yep. It completely absolves the business of taking any operational accountability.
Wow.
The JL Patisserie incident proved that if you can successfully paint your critic as an unethical extortionist, the internet mob will rush to defend your business.
Right, because people hate entitled influencers.
Right. But that strategy relies on one fundamental premise, the business actually being in the right.
Yes.
So what happens when a business blindly deploys the extortion defense against a critic who isn't a scammer at all, but simply a regular paying customer holding undeniable proof?
And that perfect storm of arrogance and bad data brings us to a direct consequence of this new defensive mindset.
Yes, it does.
Let's fast forward to February 2026 and move over to Tempe, Arizona. We need to talk about the total operational disaster at Bake the Cookie Shop.
Ooh, this one is rough.
It is.
Yeah.
And it perfectly shows what happens when the illusion of a luxury brand collides with a digital receipt.
So, to set the economic stage here, Bake the Cookie Shop is a dessert brand that originally built its following in Las Vegas.
Right.
They were heavily reliant on highly visual, viral social media marketing. And they decided to expand into the Arizona market, dropping a new location right next to Arizona State University.
A prime spot for their target demographic.
Exactly. Highly active online users, college students, and young professionals who treat food as a status symbol.
And their pricing model heavily reflects that status symbol approach.
Oh, definitely.
We aren't talking about grabbing a $1 chocolate chip cookie from a local deli. They are aggressively selling a luxury aesthetic.
What were the prices like?
Well, we pulled their Toast tab point-of-sale online menu to verify the numbers. A standard basic cookie is $5.
For one cookie?
Yes. They have a viral menu item called the Dubai Chocolate Strawberry Bowl that retails for $19.
$19.
And they sell luxury gift boxes that run up to $70.
See, we have to contextualize this pricing because it points to a much broader macroeconomic shift in the bakery ecosystem right now.
Right.
The Tringlo Media report we analyzed highlighted a peer bakery in the exact same geographic area that recently sparked viral outrage.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, they were charging a staggering $500 for a single dozen of cookies.
$500.
Insane.
That is roughly $42 per cookie. When I read that, my jaw literally hit the floor.
It's hard to even process.
The internet reactions range from assuming it was a typo to believing it was a deliberate rage bait marketing prank.
But it wasn't.
No, it proves the reality of the market. Baked goods are experiencing hyper-premium, almost astronomical pricing inflation.
And here is the core psychological principle of pricing.
Okay.
When you employ a luxury pricing model, you fundamentally rewrite the social contract with your consumer.
That makes total sense.
Right. When a person pays $19 for a bowl of strawberries or $17 for an ice cream sundae, they are no longer merely purchasing calories.
No, they're expecting an experience.
Exactly. They are purchasing a flawless, premium operational experience.
Yeah.
The aesthetics, the customer service, the execution, the cleanliness. Every single touch point must be perfect to justify that luxury premium.
You can't make mistakes.
Right. If you charge luxury prices, you cannot afford fast food mistakes.
Which brings us to a local digital creator who goes by the handle Pastrygate.
Oh, poor sir.
Yeah. So Serg walks into this newly opened Bake the Cookie shop in Tempe to do a standard objective food review. He goes to the counter, orders 2 of their signature soft cookie and ice cream sundae bowls, and pays out of his own pocket.
Right. A normal transaction.
$17 each. A total transaction of $34.
Okay.
He takes a product out to his car, sets up his camera, and prepares to record his reaction.
Right.
But almost immediately, he realizes that the luxury experience he paid a premium for has suffered catastrophic operational failure.
Major, undeniable failure.
Yes. He turns on the camera, looks at the bowl, and the first thing he points out is the sheer lack of volume.
It was tiny.
It is drastically smaller than the massive, overflowing, decadent bowls the brand pushes on their Instagram. It looks like one sad, lonely scoop.
Right.
He even gives them the benefit of the doubt on camera, wondering out loud if this is their actual standard portion or if the kitchen just totally messed up his specific order.
Which is very generous of him.
It is. Then he identifies a second failure. A specific chocolate drizzle topping that was supposed to be included and that he paid for is completely missing.
That's correct, too.
The third failure shifts the situation from disappointing to unacceptable. It is a direct sanitation issue.
Oh, this part is gross.
He brings the camera close to the ice cream, and embedded directly on the surface of the food is a physical contaminant.
A hair.
A hair, or a massive eyelash. It's right there in the video. He literally points his finger at it. And his conclusion is incredibly measured for a guy who just found human hair in his overpriced dessert.
Yeah, he was very calm.
He doesn't scream. He doesn't curse them out. He simply states, quote, "Definitely not worth $17.
Completely reasonable.
He posts it to TikTok. It's a mild, evidence-based critique. And initially, it didn't even go viral. It was just a tiny blip.
And from an operational standpoint, this should have been incredibly easy to handle.
Oh, totally.
If the management at Bake the Cookie Shop had a functional crisis framework, they would have seen the video, identified the breakdown on the prep line, and deployed standard service recovery.
Like an apology.
Yeah. A simple message saying, like, we are so incredibly sorry this falls below our standards. Please let us refund you and make it right.
Right.
If they do that, the issue disappears in hours.
But, okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate for the business owner here for a second.
Sure.
Put yourself in their shoes. If you are exhausted, working 80-hour weeks to launch a new location, and you genuinely believe the entire internet is full of scammers trying to extort you.
Right.
Because that's what the jail patisserie story taught you. Isn't it human nature that you'd eventually snap at a review like this? Are we holding these small business owners to impossible corporate-level PR standards?
It's a fair question. But there is a...
As if I'm supposed to bend over and give it to you for free. The sheer arrogance of typing that to a customer.
It's unbelievable.
And they didn't keep it private. They took to their public social media pages to ridicule him, accusing him of lacking accountability.
Right.
They were running the exact same playbook Jenna Lurquin ran, trying to paint him as an unethical extortionist to rally the internet mob to their side.
But this is where their strategy completely imploded.
Yes.
Because they assumed they had the monopoly on truth. They assumed he was just another scammer. But Serg wasn't an extortionist. He was a paying customer.
He had the proof.
Right. And in the modern digital economy, data is fully democratized. The consumer holds just as much empirical proof as the institution.
And this is the moment the business completely humiliated themselves. Serg doesn't just argue back, he drops the ultimate, indisputable digital receipt.
The best part.
He posts a follow-up video featuring a crystal clear screenshot of his point-of-sale receipt.
Yeah.
It mathematically proves his payment of $34. It shows the time, the date, the items. He proves that he never asked for free food.
He was just a regular guy.
Right, a regular guy who got a hair in his $17 ice cream, and the owner completely fabricated a malicious narrative to attack him.
The point-of-sale receipt is essentially the flight recorder black box of the modern transaction.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
It mathematically dismantles gaslighting. When Serg produced that black box, the luxury illusion of Bake the Cookie Shop shattered instantly.
Completely shattered.
As we discussed, a $17 sundae demands perfection. When that premium price is met with tiny portions, missing ingredients, physical hair, and then compounded by corporate hostility and public defamation,
It's a recipe for disaster.
it triggers an explosive, visceral level of consumer rage. The public backlash was immediate and devastating.
Oh, I bet. Once that digital receipt dropped, the bakery's entire tough guy facade just evaporated. They realized they were caught in a massive, very public lie.
So what did they do?
They retreat to the private DMs, sending this pathetic, reactive apology, desperately trying to push a refund through to his card.
Oh, wow.
But Serg rejects it. He publicly posts their apology attempt and basically says, "You don't get to drag my name through the mud in public and then try to buy my silence in private when you get caught."
Good for him. This is a phenomenal example of what PR professionals call an asymmetric apology and why it never works.
An asymmetric apology.
Yeah, the scale and visibility of your apology must always match the scale and visibility of your offense.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Right. If you attack someone publicly but apologize privately, the public will always perceive it as insincere damage control.
Yeah, because it is.
Exactly. The audience instantly recognized that the bakery wasn't actually sorry for serving contaminated food or being rude. They were only sorry that the digital receipt proved they were lying.
But this is the part that completely short-circuits my brain. Why wouldn't a business just check their own systems before launching a public attack?
It's a great question.
We know from the source URLs that they use Toast tab. For those who don't know, Toast is a massive, highly sophisticated digital point-of-sale system.
Right, it tracks everything.
Absolutely everything. Timestamps, credit card names, order modifications. Why wouldn't the owner just log into Toast, look at the transactions for that afternoon, and verify if Serg paid before firing off an unhinged DM calling him a scammer?
That is the ultimate operational tragedy here. It represents emotional reactivity, completely overriding basic business logic.
Yeah.
The owner was so deeply infected by that cultural confirmation bias, the belief that all internet critics are grifters, that they completely bypassed their own internal data infrastructure.
They just assumed they were right.
Exactly. They let their ego dictate their response instead of their data. You simply cannot gaslight a consumer who has a time-stamped, cryptographically secure transaction log sitting on their smartphone.
You really can't.
The balance of power is fundamentally shifted.
It's a completely self-inflicted wound. But, while that specific situation was very black and white, like the customer paid, the business lied, not every conflict in this digital food space is that clear-cut.
That's true.
Sometimes we venture into territory where both sides actually have valid points and both sides are making massive compounding mistakes.
Oh, definitely.
What happens when we look at the influencers who genuinely do want to trade content for food?
That introduces us to the murky, highly unregulated middle ground of micro-influencer marketing.
It's a mess.
It is. When you remove the cash transaction entirely and rely merely on a barter system of goods for exposure, the operational vulnerabilities multiply exponentially.
Right. And to dive into this, we are looking at a brilliant breakdown from YouTube commentator Amy Robinson.
Her analysis on this was great.
Yeah, she analyzed a very messy, highly public dispute between a small cookie company called Smacked Goods, run by a guy named Pappy Pat, and a food influencer who goes by Felix.
This case study is vital. It perfectly illustrates what happens when informal digital agreements operate without standard business frameworks.
Set the stage for us.
So Felix is a mid-tier creator with roughly 53,000 followers on TikTok.
Okay.
He saw Smack Goods cookies advertised on Facebook Marketplace and reached out to Pat via direct message. Felix proposed a very standard creator economy arrangement.
What was the pitch?
He offered to produce a promotional user-generated content video, or UGC, for the business in exchange for a box of cookies.
Pretty standard.
Yeah, he even specified that the brown butter chocolate chip cookies looked incredible, salty and gooey, exactly his preference.
Which, on paper, sounds like a total win-win.
You'd think so.
The small business gets a highly produced video blasted out to 53,000 potential local buyers, and Felix gets a $20 box of cookies to eat.
But Pat, the owner of Smacked Goods, was immediately suspicious.
Oh, of course.
Pat has a background in restaurant management. He knows the industry stereotypes. He knows that micro-influencers often run the streets, making big promises, demanding free product, and then completely ghosting the business without ever posting the promised promotion.
Right, he's heard the horror stories.
Exactly. Despite his deep-seated apprehension, Pat consulted with some industry peers who convinced him that the potential marketing upside was worth the minimal cost of the cookies.
Okay, so he agrees to the barter.
He does. But almost immediately, the logistics degrade into a nightmare.
Oh, boy.
It took 3 agonizing weeks of back-and-forth messaging just to organize the physical handoff of the product.
3 weeks for a box of cookies.
Yes. Felix asked to meet halfway. Pat refused, citing he was too swamped with paying orders. Dates were scheduled, missed, and repeatedly pushed back.
It's already so tense before they even meet.
Right. Finally, on May 28th, Pat messages Felix and says, "I have a baker's dozen of chocolate chip cookies ready for pickup right now, but you have to come get them today because I am prepping for massive weekend orders."
An ultimatum.
Basically. Yeah. Felix tries to negotiate, asking to push it to the next day, but Pat holds firm. He insists the cookies need to be eaten fresh for the review.
Okay, fair point.
So Felix caves, charges his car, drives 45 minutes out of his way, and they finally meet face to face.
And this is where Pat's paranoia manifests in a truly bizarre way.
So bizarre.
Because Pat asks Felix if he can record the handoff on his phone, but he doesn't take a normal, "Hey, great to meet you," selfie video.
No, Pat films a highly unusual headless video.
Headless.
He films from the chest down, capturing the box of cookies being handed over, but taking extreme care to ensure Felix's face is completely out of the frame.
It's so weird.
He even told Felix explicitly that he didn't want any audio recorded because Felix's voice would be a dead giveaway.
Which makes absolutely zero sense. Amy Robinson highlights this brilliantly in her commentary.
You really did.
If you are executing a promotional collaboration to boost your brand, why are you filming the handoff like it's a covert hostage exchange in a parking garage? And Felix's name was literally written in Sharpie on the box. Plus, you could clearly see his distinct arm tattoos in the footage.
There was no hiding it.
The only logical explanation for Pat filming it this way is that he was already anticipating betrayal. He was stockpiling proof of scamming footage before Felix even took a bite of the cookie.
And in psychology, we call that a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
When you enter an agreement, assuming the other party is acting in bad faith, your own behavior often triggers the exact breakdown you fear.
Yeah.
After the handoff, 8 days pass. 8 days of total silence.
Radio silence.
On June 6th, Pat hits his boiling point. Having received no updates, he preemptively strikes.
It goes nuclear.
He posts a video to his business accounts, publicly accusing Felix of scamming him for a free box of cookies.
Yeah.
He uses that bizarre headless footage as his evidence and adds this incredibly condescending caption.
Oh, read it. I remember this.
It said, "If you were hungry and wanted a free sweet treat, you could have just asked."
I cannot get over how patronizing that is. If you were hungry.
It's brutal.
And suddenly, Felix's phone is blowing up. Hundreds of thousands of people are swarming his comments, calling him a scammer, demanding he pay the $20 for the cookies.
Yeah, the mob mentality.
Felix is forced to drop everything he's doing and film a defense video. And when you actually listen to his defense and you understand how the creator economy functions, his timeline makes total sense.
It really does.
Yeah.
Because Felix explained that he hadn't ghosted Pat at all.
Right.
He creates user-generated content, UGC. This means he films, edits, and produces short-form commercial content for multiple brands simultaneously.
He's busy.
Right. He stated he had a backlog of over 20 videos in his editing queue. In his specific workflow, a standard turnaround time for a promotional video is between 7 to 14 days.
So 8 days was perfectly normal.
Therefore, 8 days was well within his normal operating parameters. The critical failure, which Felix openly admitted, was that he completely failed to communicate this timeline to Pat.
But on the flip side, Pat completely failed to just send a follow-up text. How hard is it to open your phone and type, "Hey man, hope you like the cookies, checking in on the ETA for that video."
It takes 10 seconds.
There was zero communication, there was no contract, there was no established deadline.
None of the standard business practices.
Pat just sat there stewing in his own anxiety for 8 days, got mad, and tried to nuke a creator's reputation without a single warning shot.
And to make it even messier, when Felix is forced to defend himself on video, he admits he didn't even like the cookies.
Oh, that's right.
He called them burnt butter cookies instead of brown butter.
Ouch.
So now the bridge is burned. Even if they make up, Felix can't post a glowing review without looking like a total sellout to his own audience.
It is a textbook illustration of mutual operational vulnerability.
Absolutely. In the micro-influencer space, the absence of formalized written contracts creates a massive communication vacuum.
Yeah.
And human beings naturally fill that vacuum by projecting their own unmet expectations onto the other party.
So Pat assumes one thing, Felix assumes another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pat, operating as a physical business owner, expects immediate turnaround because he handed over immediate perishable product.
Right.
Felix, operating a digital content queue, expects professional grace periods because high-quality editing takes time.
Makes sense.
Because neither party bothered to codify their expectations in a simple email, the partnership inevitably imploded into viral public warfare.
So I really want you, the listener, to pick a side here. Think about it.
It's tough.
Was Felix taking advantage of a small, hardworking business by sitting on a free product for over a week without sending a single text update? Or was Pat completely unhinged for trying to destroy a creator's livelihood over a $20 box of cookies without even bothering to ask for a status update first?
That is so messy.
It is,
Yeah.
but it perfectly highlights how fast these digital relationships turn toxic.
And what we need to realize is that toxicity in the culinary space isn't strictly limited to customer disputes or influencer barters gone wrong.
Oh, definitely not.
Sometimes the most potent threat to a brand's survival is the very person standing at the head of the kitchen.
Yeah, the owner themselves.
Which brings us to a critical examination of founder ego and what happens when the chef themselves becomes a massive corporate liability.
Yes, this is a fascinating pivot. We are staying in Arizona, moving over to a town called Gilbert to look at a bakery called Sablé Boulangerie.
Okay.
And let me paint the picture for you. This place was the absolute definition of viral hype culture success.
Huge lines, right?
Oh, massive lines. The owner and executive pastry chef is a guy named Will Porter. We're talking about a classically handsome, incredibly charismatic chef who literally walks the line outside his shop with the security guard.
Wow.
Yeah, chatting up the hundreds of people who wait hours just to buy his French pastries. The branding is immaculate.
I've seen the boxes online.
Yeah, beautiful baked goods packaged in these rich, heavy stock orange boxes. His bakery has amassed hundreds of thousands of followers on TikTok and Instagram.
That's incredible success.
It is. People literally shout at him from the line, "I came here just for you." He is the face, the heart, the soul, and the ego of this brand.
But there's a profound danger in that model.
Oh, absolutely.
When a founder's personal persona becomes inextricably linked to the corporate brand identity, any personal controversy the founder steps into instantly becomes a full-blown corporate PR crisis.
You can't separate them.
And Will Porter stepped directly onto a massive cultural landmine when he chose to participate in a highly polarizing, unscripted debate show called Surrounded, produced by Jubilee Media.
And I want to be incredibly clear with our audience right here. We are not taking sides on the gender dynamics, the politics, or the sociological arguments of this debate.
Right, that's not our focus.
We are strictly, impartially analyzing this event as a PR case study on how a founder's external actions functionally impact the survival of their business.
Exactly. Our focus is entirely on the mechanism of the PR failure. Because why did a baker feel compelled to go on a polarizing debate show in the first place?
That's the million-dollar question.
It's because modern algorithms heavily reward controversial founders. Bakeries are increasingly functioning as lifestyle brands, where the product, the croissant, is merely merchandise that signals alignment with the founder's worldview.
It's wild to think of a croissant as an ideological statement.
It is, but that's where we are. The premise of Surrounded is designed to exploit this. It places one prominent figure in the center of a circle of 20 to 25 people who vehemently disagree with them.
Okay, so it's a pressure cooker.
Very much so. In this specific episode, the guest in the center was Mark Manson, a well-known relationship coach and best-selling author. The topic they were debating was the societal impact of the manosphere.
And Will Porter, the charismatic face of Ciblé Boulangerie, jumps into the center seat to debate Mark Manson.
Right.
And he starts making some very sweeping, highly generalized claims.
What kind of claims?
He argues that women care significantly more about physical looks than personality. He claims that modern women have a warped sense of reality because they've been inundated with validation and attention on dating apps their entire lives.
Okay, pretty strong statements.
Very. He states confidently that women might easily go on 10 dates a week, while average men are lucky to secure 1 date a month.
Furthermore, Porter began utilizing highly specific internet vernacular. He used terms like SMV, which stands for sexual market value.
Right.
It's a concept used to describe how individuals ruthlessly rank each other based on status, wealth, and physical traits.
And during a specific polling segment of the show, Porter visibly raised his red flag to indicate his support for highly controversial internet figures, including Andrew Tate and Clavicular.
And the reaction from the circle of debaters was swift. They actually utilized the mechanics of the show to vote him out of the conversation before his allotted time was even up.
Wow, they just kicked him out.
Basically. Now, to be fair to Porter, in a post-show interview, he seemed to experience immediate regret about his participation.
He realized he messed up.
Yeah, he called the entire event a cringe fest. He admitted he was silently freaking out during the recording, and that he really didn't want his brand associated with most of the extreme rhetoric that was being thrown around by other men in the room.
Right, he specifically called those views radioactive.
But the damage to his lifestyle brand was already done. We have to look at the functional impact of his vocabulary on his core demographic.
Oh, the demographic clash is the craziest part.
Following the release of the episode, the online backlash against Ciblé Boulangerie was immediate and fierce. Customers who had happily waited hours in the Arizona heat for his pastries were stunned.
They felt betrayed.
One specific commenter on Reddit perfectly diagnosed the PR crisis, pointing out the glaring hypocrisy.
Oh, I saw that comment.
Yeah, they pointed out that Porter's physical storefront profits immensely from women who find him charming and aesthetic. But on the podcast, his rhetoric actively alienated and generalized that exact same demographic.
Yeah, you can't bite the hand that literally buys your $70 pastry boxes.
You really can't. Porter was forced into total damage control. He disabled comments across his social media platforms and had to issue a formal public statement to the Phoenix Times.
An apology tour.
Exactly. Explicitly apologizing, distancing himself from misogyny and Andrew Tate, and insisting that Ciblé is a place where everyone is respected.
But the PR nightmare didn't stop there.
No, it didn't.
This is where the ego just completely overrides logic. At the exact same time he's desperately trying to issue this apology and calm the waters regarding the podcast, he completely self-sabotages on a totally separate issue.
He just couldn't help himself.
He gets into a petty public spat with a local travel influencer. This influencer had simply posted a helpful video suggesting that if people didn't want to wait hours in the massive line at Ciblé, they could check out a different local bakery nearby.
Which is a totally normal piece of content.
Super normal. But Porter's ego couldn't handle the perceived slight. He attacked her online, calling her unprofessional merely for suggesting an alternative to his business.
This represents a catastrophic failure to decouple the personal ego from the corporate brand.
It really does.
When the chef is the brand, and that chef displays a fragile ego or engages in highly controversial socio-political debates, it instantly fractures the customer base.
Yeah.
The product is no longer neutral. When a customer buys that croissant, they are no longer just tasting butter and flour.
Right.
They are forced to consume the emotional baggage and the polarizing public persona of the creator.
Which raises such a difficult question for us as buyers. Can we separate the art from the artist when the artist is literally the guy handing you the pastry over the counter in a branded orange box?
Go hard.
When you buy a coffee, are you implicitly endorsing the barista's worldview? It is exhausting.
It is profoundly exhausting.
Going to a local bakery shouldn't require you to run a background check on the executive chef's latest podcast appearances.
No, it shouldn't. And if we zoom out, we realize that this exhaustion is not isolated to dealing with founders' egos or mediating influencer barters.
Right. There's a bigger picture here.
These specific incidents, the extortion accusations, the demands for digital receipts, the fragile chef personas, are all symptoms of a much larger systemic squeeze that is fracturing the modern dining experience from the inside out.
It's all connected.
Why are both consumers and business owners so incredibly paranoid and on edge right now?
Right, because absolutely nobody seems happy. The business owners are defensive and hostile, the influencers are getting scammed or doing the scamming, and the regular, everyday customer is just caught in the crossfire or wallet wide open.
Exactly.
And a massive piece of this puzzle, something that is driving the average consumer to the brink of insanity, is modern tipping culture.
Oh, tipping culture has completely spiraled.
Right.
We analyze a massive Reddit thread detailing the global frustration with tipping, and the economic consensus is clear.
What's the consensus?
Tipping has mutated. It is no longer a gratuity offered for exceptional service.
Yep.
It has become a mandatory consumer obligation used to subsidize corporate payrolls, and consumers have reached their psychological breaking point.
You know, I was staring at a screen the other day just to buy a standard black coffee, a drip coffee.
Oh, I know where this is going.
The barista literally just turned around, pulled a lever, handed me a paper cup, and spun the iPad around. And the default tip options staring me in the face were 20%, 25%, and 30%.
For pulling a lever.
For pulling a lever, people are losing their minds over this constant financial pressure.
The quote from the Fail blog article sums up the cultural mood perfectly. It said, quote, "Pretty soon someone's going to ask for a tip just for handing me a receipt."
Haha, feels like that.
But the underlying economic reality driving those screens is incredibly dark. Consumers are exhausted, but the workers are trapped in an exploitative system.
Yeah, they're the victims too.
Major restaurant groups are actively weaponizing the concept of tips to avoid paying a living wage. The sources explicitly note that in some regions, servers are legally paid less than $3 an hour by their employers,
Less than $3.
with the strict expectation that the consumer will voluntarily make up the difference to reach minimum wage.
That shouldn't be the customer's job.
Furthermore, this financial burden on the consumer is expanding. Many establishments now enforce policies forcing servers to tip out the back of the house.
Wait, really?
Yes, the line cooks, the bussers, the dishwashers. This means the customer's tip is no longer just thanking the waiter. It is literally subsidizing the core operational payroll of the entire restaurant.
It's corporate greed disguised as a guilt trip on a glowing screen.
Exactly.
So the consumer is getting squeezed from every possible angle. We are paying hyperinflated luxury prices, $17 for sundaes, $500 for cookies, and then being guilt-tripped into a 30% tip just for standing at a counter.
Right.
But what is the consumer actually getting in return for all this money? Are we getting premium, luxury, cleanliness, and execution?
Let me guess.
Because if we look at the dirty dining reports from Arizona's family, the answer is a horrifying, resounding no.
The contrast between the marketing illusion and the operational reality is jarring.
It's disgusting.
You have these brands projecting absolute premium luxury, charging maximum prices. But the reality behind the kitchen doors is failing basic fundamental health codes.
Failing miserably.
The Dirty Dining Report cited Chunk Cookies and Gilbert, a direct peer to the luxury brands we've discussed today, for severe, dangerous violations.
What did they find?
Health inspectors found no paper towels at the hand wash sinks, boxes of butter stored directly on the floor,
Butter on the floor.
and most alarmingly, several cans of Raid insect killer stored directly in the food preparation kitchen.
Raid, poisonous insect killer sitting right next to the luxury cookies.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just them. Central Barbecue Lake House had raw salmon stored directly above ready-to-eat avocados.
That's a huge cross-contamination risk.
India Kitchen had employees handling bread with their bare hands and cooked protein stored in plastic grocery bags. It is disgusting.
When we synthesize all of this data, we finally see the full fractured picture of modern hospitality.
Yeah, the whole system is broken.
The social contract of dining out has completely broken down. The consumer is being squeezed by astronomical luxury pricing. They are hit with mandatory high-pressure tipping screens to subsidize corporate labor costs.
Yeah.
And in return for this massive premium investment, they're potentially met with hostile, egotistical owners, missing ingredients, foreign contaminants like hair in their food, or hidden hazardous health code violations.
And if that exhausted consumer dares to complain about any of it,
Oh, we know what happens then.
If they post a mild review about a hair in their ice cream, they get blasted on social media by the owner and accused of being a scamming influencer trying to extort the business.
It is a completely toxic, inescapable feedback loop.
It really is.
It is a systemic failure of mutual trust. The business owner no longer trusts the consumer, assuming they are bad faith actors looking for a handout.
Right.
The consumer no longer trusts the business, demanding hard digital receipts to prove they aren't being gaslit or overcharged. The warmth, the grace, and the simple pleasure that used to define the hospitality industry have been entirely replaced by a paranoid, defensive posture on both sides of the register.
Okay. We have covered some incredibly intense ground today.
We really have.
To wrap up this journey, we have seen how the influencer extortion defense, which was so righteously and effectively used by Jenna Lurkwin at JL Patisserie, went terribly, terribly wrong for Bake the Cookie Shop when they blindly tried to use it against a regular guy armed with a Toast POS receipt.
Yeah.
We saw how the lack of basic communication turned a simple cookie barter between Smacked Goods and Felix into a viral warfare zone.
A total mess.
We watched as Will Porter's massive ego and controversial debate appearances derailed the hype train of Sablé Boulangerie.
Definitely.
And we connected all of this chaos to the crushing economic reality of 40% tip screens and cans of Raid in the kitchen.
It all ties together.
Ultimately, digital receipts have shifted the balance of power from the institution back to the consumer. The receipt is king.
But this leaves us with a final, somewhat chilling thought to consider as we look to the future.
Okay, hit me.
Right now, the digital receipt, the POS screenshot, the unedited time-stamped video is our ultimate, undeniable source of objective truth.
Right, it's the black box.
It is the only thing that saved Serg from being permanently destroyed and labeled a scammer by a hostile business.
That's true.
But as artificial intelligence and deepfake technology become increasingly prevalent, seamless, and accessible to the average person on their smartphone, how long will that hold true?
Oh, wow. That is a terrifying concept.
Are we rapidly entering an era where both consumers and businesses can completely fabricate their own proof?
I mean, they probably already can.
Where a malicious business owner can generate a flawless fake video of an influencer acting unhinged in their lobby. Or where a consumer can use AI to generate a perfectly authentic-looking Toast tab receipt or a fake DM conversation to win a PR war.
That is, wow.
When the digital receipt itself can be effortlessly counterfeited, how will we ever establish the truth in these digital battlegrounds?
That is something to seriously mull over. When seeing is no longer believing and the black box data can be faked, the entire system of trust collapses completely.
It does.
Well, we really want to hear from you on this. Tell us down in the comments, what is your absolute undeniable deal breaker when dining out or visiting a local bakery?
We want to know.
Is it a hair in the food, a rude owner who attacks people online, or a 40% tip screen staring you in the face? Let us know.
Definitely drop a comment.
And hey, please encourage us by hitting that like button and subscribing so you never miss a video. It tells the YouTube algorithm that people actually like this deep dive, and it will push it out to more people who love geeking out on this stuff just as much as you do.
Absolutely.
So next time you walk into a bakery and hear that little bell jingle, just remember, you might be stepping into a war zone. Keep your receipts. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.